program at Peninsula Family Service. They're able to provide an ongoing education enrichment program such as the STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, from the START curriculum. And they prepare a child to be at grade level above when they enter the public school system. This is a big issue. They are behind before they get there. They never can catch up. The train is already moving. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, thank you again for having us, and thank you, Rob, for inviting us. As we do have a presentation, so maybe we can start. So at Peninsula Family Service, you know, we have our mission, our values, and our vision. Overall, I would say that because we have 3 programs in our organization, we have early learning, which is one of the largest, but then we have Rob's financial empowerment and also older adults. And we all work to maintain and committed to our diversity, equity, and inclusion at Peninsula Family Service. And those are photos of all 3 programs you don't generally see. We have 8 locations in our early learning program. So it's throughout the San Mateo County. It's Northern County, Central, and then South County all the way to Menlo Park. This is our early learning. So we strive to help parents, families, and children develop, you know, healthy environments so that they could actually have a future, a healthy future, most of all. And this, we do it through education, getting the parents stable at home. The majority of them are homeless. They're in San Mateo shelters. But not only that, they've been, unfortunately, they've had some trauma in their life of some sort. So again, the children and the families are the most vulnerable in San Mateo County, and that's who we help. We help around 630 families. I would say it varies because we have children that leave the county because of the housing crisis. It's not affordable also for some of our parents. Some of them are working 2 to 3 jobs, so the children are usually with us 8 to 10 hours out of the day. And we have around 89 teachers. In my department alone, we're about 105 total. So it's administrative and also teachers. And this is Jessica's baby. This is the STEM. It's the science, technology, engineering, and math. And this is hers. So, go on.
As you can see in the video in the beginning.
Oh, that's a video.
Yeah, it is right here. It's
I thought it was
video.
just flipping through all the stuff.
No, it's a video.
It's our STEM from the Start program, and this is one of the children. One of the projects that they love playing with is shaving cream. And with the shaving cream, we add color to it, or the kids are allowed to add the color that they want to it, but that's one of their favorite things to play with. So one of the most important things with STEM is the language that we use. So when you're talking to children, you have to change the language that reflects science and math. And so one of the things that we do with STEM from the start is we work with the teachers first, and we plan out projects, and we talk about language and how you can talk to a child and ask them questions that are intentional so that whatever they're doing, you can help them think further about the process of what they're doing. So let's say, you know, for a child this age, one of the things you can talk about is building Legos. So if a child, you have a child sitting there and they're building and building, so you're asking them, what are you building? And you know, they'll tell you, oh, this is a castle or a house. And then you know, when they get to a certain height, because usually for the kids it's all about height and how big they can make what they're doing. So then once they get to a certain point, you can say, okay, well, what would happen if you added this? Or what would happen if you would take this out? What do you think would happen? So you ask a lot of questions to let the children think, oh, well, what would happen if I did do that? That would be kind of like engineering when they're building with the Legos. With engineering, one of the things is most of the boys and some girls like to play with cars, and they like to make ramps, and they like to make big tall ramps. So what they'll do is they'll make the blocks stack like the wooden blocks really high, and then have a piece come down, and then they'll put the cars at the top, and then they'll have the cars go down. So we'll ask them questions. Well, what if we got the ramp and we moved it up more? Do you think the car would still slide or go down? And so the kids will think about it. And so a lot of times, once one child is doing it, then you see another come because they get interested and they want to do it. So you can ask them questions. Well, what happens if you would do that? And you just take on, you try to expand what they're doing and their thinking, and then just keep asking questions to see how far you can push them to think further on what they're doing and what would happen. With science, one of the favorite things kids love is Play-Doh. We make homemade Play-Doh, so that's usually with flour and salt. Usually with the homemade one, you can use a little bit of oil, but we use Kool-Aid as one of the things to help with the color. So the kids love to make their own Play-Doh with Kool-Aid because they can smell it. It's okay if they eat it because it's non-toxic, and they will taste it because it's the way that it smells. So they're kind of experimenting with that, but they love to do Play-Doh. And when they're making it, you have to use warm water and you're mixing it. So you ask them, oh, what does that feel like? Is it soft? Is it hard? Slimy? You ask them to try to change the language that they're using. And is it heavy? Well, is it light? So there's a lot of different things with language. With math, everything is math. One of our favorite things to do with STEM, with math, is doing any type of sorting, where you have, the sorting, I'll give an example. So one of the things we teach parents to do with their children at home to help them with sorting or doing math at home is helping fold the laundry. So, usually like children have a lot of socks, and there's some socks that are always coming up missing, but we teach the parents, when you're at home, give your children the socks and have them lay out the socks, and then have them try to match the socks. So that's a sorting thing that you can do. And then you can also get into patterns, because you usually have similar socks that are same but different. So if you have socks, you can also teach them about the different patterns and how they can sort. And you can even take it bigger and say, okay, why don't you put all the red or all the green or whatever colors, and put them in different areas and sections. So then you're going to come to a point where you have a sock that has like all those colors. So where does that sock go, kind of thing. So those are things like you can do at home. Part of, I'm not like a engineer or a math person, science, just for children, but I do know that part of the patterns and sortings has to do with coding when they get older and they're doing, all of that with math. So these are kind of the things that we start with at an early age, starting from infant all the way to our school age program. So that's just a little bit. But,
Quick question. What kinds of things do you do for infants, say under a year?
Oh, so infants, one of the things for infants is they love ice. So what we do is we get these big ice cube trays, and they're like about that big. And so we'll put a plastic toy inside, usually a whale or a bee or something that kids are learning about at that time that they're interested in. So we give them the big chunks of ice, and so if you put them on the table and you give it to them, they'll play with it, and they realize that it like slides off, the table, and then, just the touch and melting. Of course, they have to like try to lick it and do stuff with it. Mm-hmm. So ice is one of the things that they love to explore. The other thing is they like Play-Doh too. Anything that they can put in their mouths, they like to play. So we do also use food as part of our projects. So kids love spaghetti, so we'll make spaghetti and let them play with it. And they can sit there for a long time and sit there and play with it, try to taste it, and then try to get it off their hands, and they can't get it off their hands. So, there's a lot of things that you can do with infants. Cheerios, they love Cheerios, or we don't necessarily use Fruit Loops, but as an example with like Fruit Loops, you could do the same thing with infants and or like in between infant to 12, when they're learning how to grasp and they're taking turns trying to grab, you know, put different colors. And if you put the different colors like around the table and you know, keep them in a certain pattern, they will try to go and grab like almost one from every color or as many as they can get. And so they're really working on their little fingers. But then, you know, they love to eat and play with that. And then you can talk to them and you can say, oh, how many do you have? Is that one? And is that pink or is that green? So you're working on the literacy with them while you're doing a project. So infants, a lot of food because they love food and they're exploring everything, but there's a lot of things you can do with them too. And once they're able to grasp, we give them markers that are washable, crayons, and you just tape a big old piece of paper on the floor with tape, and they'll sit there and they'll draw and they'll color, and you'll have them all sitting in their little, you know, and they'll just sit there and they could draw for like a long time and they love it. So they're working on their motor skills and they're making, you know, their little masterpiece. And there's a lot of things that they have for infants that have like a plastic with water and glitter and stuff inside, and so they'll sit there and they'll sit and hit it and do all kinds of things with it to see what happens and where the water goes and how it separates. And so when you're working with them, you can talk and ask them questions, or they say things to them about, you know, well, where'd the water go? Or is that shiny? And I can talk to them about everything that they're observing and they're seeing.
And they already know math. They'll go for 2 cookies as opposed to 1. You show them, they're like, oh, this one.
More.
More.
This is the first one, more, that they learn more.
Yeah.
I don't ever see done, it's just more.
Our volunteers, our auxiliaries, Foothill, Hillsborough, and Red Carvel, they all help us in, of course, you know, I know all of you guys at some have also participated as volunteers and also any donated items. We truly appreciate anything we can get for our families.
Just as a note on Red Carvel, just like Operation School Bell we went to, this has been all volunteer for 51 years. And they generate, this little shop in San Carlos, $75,000 to $100,000 a year to our organization through selling items, average sale price of $5. Wow. Huge volume of in and out all year long. They actually just gave us, for the 4th quarter, and this all comes to the holidays, the largest single quarterly check of $27,000.
Wow. Yeah.
All volunteer. All volunteer. They don't charge anything. It's wonderful.
And what is Red Carvel?
Redwood City, Belmont.
Oh,
Red City, San Carlos, and Beaumont.
San Carlos.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so they made a nice little fun name on it.
Which is awesome.
And then the Hillsborough Auxiliary, every year they put on a huge gala. Big deal. I think this year's at the Circus Club?
Yes,
In Menlo Park. They generate just from that one event, that's a whole year process to get this one event off, between $400,000 and $500,000 from that one time. So these are huge, they do huge amounts of these 3 auxiliaries, generate probably $750,000 or more for our organization every year.
and these are auxiliaries of Peninsula.
That's correct. Yes.
And then, so here are some of our volunteers. We typically get them from high school, NCL, any other nonprofits around the peninsula. They actually go into our classrooms and help read to the preschoolers. Very few go to the infants room because infants they're afraid of strangers. They need to have some time to trust and be around new people. So the preschoolers love it. They get to play with them. They get to hear them read to them, and it's very important. Some of our children don't have anybody else other than going home and being stuck in a really small room, very reduced space. So having somebody else to talk to really helps engage them in new words, language. I mean, they learn so much just by talking to other people. And typically we have, in the summer is our biggest group of volunteers.
And volunteers also include corporate volunteers. Tina Marie's company recently, and I think for this year, kind of adopted Peninsula Family Service, and Tina Marie has been there and many of those events. So again, thank you, Tina Marie, for your organization to help volunteer and support what we do.
The company adopted our 5 most needy families, and they were by far, one of the families is actually a single mom with 2 children who has who is battling renal failure, and then the 2 boys are under, actually one is 5 already, he's in kindergarten, and the other one is in our preschool. So they don't have any funds to help with clothing, food, or anything. So that definitely helped her a lot, and the children actually had gifts for the holidays. Thank you. Our strategic plan for early learning is for us to increase the BAs and our teachers. That's our biggest goal within the early learning department, because we need our teachers to be ready and prepared to help our little ones. As you know, you've heard before, 0 to 5 is so critical. They need to be ready to learn and understand, develop their language, critical thinking, everything. But with them having limited food at home, you know, limited time with parents, not the best environment, that all of that is going up against them. So we need our teachers to be ready to help them and grow and be ready for kindergarten, but overall life in general, for them to have a stable social emotional. That's very important. And then just increase our STEM in our classrooms. And this is our 2nd year in STEM. So we're hoping to increase it. And that's the fun part. I love STEM, so I truly enjoy seeing all the different projects going on in our classrooms. Volunteer again, and anybody is welcome to be a volunteer at our at our department. So thank you, and any questions?
Now, how many classrooms, I mean, you have 89 teachers? I mean, how many classrooms do you have?
39.
39 classrooms, wow.
Based on the age of the child, there's a teacher to child ratio. And what is it for infants?
So infants is, infants that are non-mobile, it's 1 to 3. Once they start crawling to walking, 1 to 4. And then preschool is 1 to 8.
1 teacher to 8 children?
Yes.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And then for our school age, it's about 1 teacher per 12 children.
Wow.
And I will say, so my company, we've worked in the classroom a few times. I get volunteers, and they are the teachers, and then they usually have an assistant that was there. They are very good. Some of these kids, you know, I remember being there and being in story time. There's always one that's out there doing something. But these teachers are just like, you know, they don't put up with it. They get these kids there. They're bi and trilingual, these teachers, because you have kids with different languages. And it was, you know, I've been in the classroom, I think 3 times, and it was very interesting. And now I know, you know, I picked the puzzle table because that's like the non-messy. Then my other coworker was over there, what they were doing, the Play-Doh, you know, doing this. But these kids just gravitate to you, and they just love you. And then when I went back on Halloween, my coworker and I, because our office dressed up, and we just made, I had my office make goodie bags for both of the classrooms at that time, and we went to deliver them. And the kids remembered us, and they came up and they hugged us, and they brought us, and they're holding our hands and showing us what they did. And it just makes you want to cry. I mean, it was just so, like, we didn't want to leave. We were going to just drop them off, and then we ended up staying there for like an hour and a half. It was just great. They were it's just a great experience. I welcome it. It doesn't matter what age you are, what, you know, sign your paper with Gloria downstairs who won't let you through unless you're, you know, got your badge going, and it's just a really great experience. The teachers are phenomenal.
Another question. What are the time slots or day slots to volunteer? Is it Monday through Friday only?
It is Monday through Friday. We operate depending on the sites, anywhere from the hours between 7 to 6 p.m. Typically, they nap from 1 to 3. Sometimes infants are, by 11:30, they're done. They're like, we're all going to bed. So they take, it just depending on their needs, but anytime, probably after 3, and then before lunch. So lunch is between 11 and 12, depending on the site and classroom. And then each infants are on demand. Now.
And so how does somebody, if somebody wants to do that, who do they contact? Is there a phone number, email? What's the best way?
So right now, currently, our advancement team takes down, Tony is a point of contact for our volunteers, but you're welcome to connect with Jessica or myself. We're located in the main office, so we have a child care center there. Most of our volunteers actually go there as well. Our Haven House, and we can connect you to the right site manager or supervisor, and you can go directly to those sites.
Our website is peninsulaFamilyService.org. And then phone number, Greg, if you're writing that down, is 403-4300-6504. And just ask for advancement, Tony in this case, for volunteer opportunity.
Yeah.
In your classrooms, who provides the classroom for all these students?
You mean like the teachers?
The classrooms,
Physical site.
physical site, are they all in all the elementary schools?
No, we only have one, so they're in different locations. We are, let's see, at Daly City or 87th Street, we're actually in 2 rooms that belong to a church, Presbyterian, I believe. And then we have, the buildings, we only own one, then that's our 2nd Avenue. Each site varies in the numbers, so Daly City, 87th Street has 2, Mission has 4, our second home over by Jefferson School District has 1, and then Leo Ryan, which is our only site on district grounds, has 3 classrooms for preschool, and then 3 additional classrooms for club, which is before school and after school. And then at our 2nd Avenue, hopefully we'll have, right now currently we have 5, but we're getting ready to license a new infant room, and it should be 6. Or 5.5. So yeah, they're just all over the county.
And Jim, 2 of the sites are Life Moves shelters.
Yeah, so they're located inside their building, and we only have 2 rooms, toddlers and then preschoolers.
Any other questions?